Hey guys, Dockwell here, and today we're going to be going over top 5 winners and losers from patch 7.39c. And before we actually get into the top 5, I wanted to mention one kind of honorable mention, and that is, where is she? Let me look where she is. Naga, yeah, there we go. And that is Naga Siren. Now, I'm just saying because it's funny. I mean, there's someone commented on the last video too that like, why is this hero getting nerfed? And it was a meme nerf, don't get me wrong, but like, what is happening? Like, isn't there a changes thing here? Yeah, changes. Like, come on, dude. -1 int. Like, dude, what are you doing? Someone I was like, oh, I like to play Naga. Why are you doing this to me? It's not a huge loser. 1 int doesn't matter, but like, let's be real. What's happening? This is just pointless. So that's the honorable mention, but it's not the biggest deal. It's not like huge loser. It's just like it's just an LOL kind of thing. It's just a laughable what is happening. But for number 5, biggest loser, we actually have Spectre. So where's Spectre? Oh yeah, Spectre is universal now. So top 5, number 5 is Spectre. The mana cost, 0 to 40. I thought that was a decent nerf. I don't think it really needed this big of a nerf. I didn't know how big it was going to be. I mean, 0 to 40 is significant. It's not like this hero has a huge mana pool, so that is kind of an issue. But really, I mean, it was more of a loser than I thought. Just if you look at the win rate, it was pretty bad. Like, it's a pretty big drop off from what it was. I think it was like 2+%. It was one of the biggest losers in terms of win rate. Now, just that's over the last week. It's not the biggest deal, but still, it's significant. And I think this is kind of like a pub stompy hero that people pick in pubs no matter what. So just the fact that you're nerfing it in general, and then you have like mana issues, or if somebody mana drains you or whatever, you don't have much mana to begin with, jumping in and out is a problem. And that obviously becomes a huge problem once you get Haunt as well, if you want to like haunt around to different illusions when you actually press Haunt, when you get your Ags. So I think Spectre probably deserves number 5. You maybe could argue some other ones, but I think just because of the win rate tank, that definitely is, it just makes sense to put Spectre at number 5 there. Then at number 4, we have Puck, and this hero is pretty good still, don't get me wrong. I mean, I had it S tier, I think, in the last tier list. I still think it's very good. It's probably only A now, but another one that like took, I don't know, top 3, top 2, biggest win rate hit. And the nerfs, if we look at them, again, the nerfs in this patch weren't even that big to begin with. Like, they weren't super significant. So the max distance by 50, 400 to 350, is that really that big of a deal? It's not huge, but it can be a big difference between you surviving or not. I mean, having this extra mobility on this spell is kind of important. So 50 extra, and that also like helps it so that you can hit people with it and stuff like that. So it's not like it's insignificant. And then the phase shift Ag Scepter Shard bonus damage by 15. I mean, that's a significant percentage of the extra damage. Now, is 35 to 20 damage, again, is that a huge deal? I don't think so, but these are big enough nerfs at core parts of what the hero liked to do that I think it was big enough. And obviously the win rate kind of tanked a little bit, so it makes sense. But again, I don't think it's like, it's at number 4 because I think it's a little bit bigger of a loser than Spectre, and it did kind of go down in the meta, but it was S tier, so it's not like top because maybe it is only A now, but it still is A. I still think it's very good. And so I think it does deserve 4, but it's still a pretty good hero. You can definitely pick Puck. It's just not broken like it was, every patch for the last 6 months to a year. Then number 3, we actually have Doom. And Doom changes, again, not a big deal. Strength gain decreased by 0.3. 0.3 is actually pretty big for a per level strength gain decrease, especially for a strength hero, if you think about it, because that is everything that strength is good in general on all heroes, obviously. I think strength is probably, you could argue it's the most important stat for any hero. I mean, obviously agility is good for agility heroes, int for int heroes, all that kind of stuff, of course, but HP and all that stuff is so important, getting tanky in that way. I feel like HP in a lot of ways seems better than armor these days too. I mean, armor scales in a certain way and it's diminishing returns, where HP, it just feels like once you get to like 4 or 5k HP, it's just like this hero's unkillable. Like, unless you have a lot of magic or pure damage or something like that. But anyway, so having the strength gain decrease is pretty significant, but this hero was already like very, very powerful, especially in like pro high level pubs. Or even pro level like tournament stuff for picks in Captain's Moon stuff. And the one reason for that is because it was also being played kind of as a carry. And I just think a nerf like this, despite it not being the biggest deal, and then also obviously getting this nerf in the B patch too, despite it not being the biggest deal, it is enough that it kind of takes it out of the role of maybe being like played as a carry, honestly. and at least not as good, even though that seems like a small nerf. And I think in pubs in general, it is kind of a one-trick pony. You are just really relying on dooming people and then just running in and just like, you know, chasing people down, which can be good, don't get me wrong. But I feel like there are a lot of ways to play around that. Sure, lower level pubs, if you doom one carry and they're relying on one guy, that can be very, very bad for them. But I feel like these days, like just dooming one guy is not as good as it was like 10 years ago when it was like solo carry lineups. You know, you like four support one or whatever, and you just have like anti-mage and then 4 supports or whatever. That's not really the case anymore, so that's why I feel like in pubs, it's not as coordinated. You're not like dooming the perfect guy every time. Sometimes the best doom target is a support, honestly. So that's why I feel like it's a little awkward. So that's why it's another big loser. Another also drastic win rate drop off in the last week. So that's another reason why Doom is up there. I just don't think Doom is the best pub hero as well. So in general, that's why I'm like favoring pubs, not just pros in terms of my analysis here. Then for number 2, I think this one is pretty obvious. The next two are, I think, just straight up obvious. I don't think there's really any debate here. The next one is Bristleback. This hero has been getting nerfs for a while, honestly. Like, if we just look here, I mean, when's the last time we got a buff? I mean, okay, Seeing Red, Vision Cone increased, but, like, people weren't picking this, so that kind of makes sense. But you know what I mean? Like, how long has it been since this hero? It's just been good forever. So now they're finally nerfing it more. Even the Snot Rocket one was the one everyone was picking, even from the offlane especially. So that's nerfed pretty significantly. And this one had probably the biggest drop-off of any hero in terms of win rate. And it's been nerfed so much recently that I think it's just becoming less and less viable. Seeing Red is still a decent carry like facet, I guess. And I think the pros might still pick it as a carry. And the Snot nerfs weren't the worst. I mean, it's not like terrible, but it's just not as like solo carry the game as it once was. You know, the armor stacking and everything, that can be a big deal. So again, the whole patch, small nerfs, but Bristleback definitely up there as one of the biggest losers, definitely number 2. And then the biggest loser of the entire patch, I predicted it. It was pretty much obvious when you read through the patch notes because this hero got the biggest nerfs overall in the whole patch. Like, it was just, I mean, it was the best hero from before that, don't get me wrong. So it kind of makes sense. But Death Prophet is obviously number 1. This hero got pretty significant nerfs. The Aghanim Scepter no longer slowing enemies, and the attack speed by 10 on the level 10 talent is huge. Also, base armor, not a big deal, but decreased by 1 on a hero that obviously you want some armor, you're running in, you're supposed to be tanky. These are giant nerfs, like 3 relatively, I mean, this one's a smallish nerf, this one's a smallish nerf, but this was what the hero was focused around with the attack speed, and then going Ags, and the slow, I think. Just removing the slow is so big, because when you have that attack speed, you're attacking heroes a bunch, you're slowing them a bunch. It was just absurd. Like, you could just run in and no one could escape from you, and then you were doing infinite damage. It was ridiculous. Now, I still think this hero's okay. I don't think it's going to go back down to, like, I don't know, D tier or wherever it was for the past, like, I don't know, couple years. So that might be a good thing, but I hope, at least I hope that's the case, because I like when these heroes that kind of go away for a while come back into the meta. Maybe they shouldn't go all the way up to S tier immediately, but this hero is still okay. It just had the obviously biggest nerf overall in the entire patch. Huge win rate drop, pick rate drop as well. I think maybe it's still A tier, maybe B tier, but it's just probably not the hero of the patch anymore. But, you know, I could even be wrong. I mean, I think those are very significant nerfs, but it might still be pretty good. Who knows? Maybe the pros say, hey, this is still a very good hero. You know, 10 attack speed, not a big deal. The slow was good, but it's still great. Like, I don't even need to necessarily rely on the Ags anymore, and it's still good. You know, that might be the case, but we'll have to see as the meta develops. I just think, obviously, this is the biggest loser of the patch. Then coming in at number 5 for biggest winners, we have your boy Kez here as biggest winner. Now, this is kind of, I was debating whether to put this guy here. I didn't really see too many winners from the patch, to be honest, because I'm like, there wasn't a lot of buffs. But I just put this guy in here at number 5. It's kind of a meme. They did buff him, and he needs the buffs, honestly. And his win rate was like 44%, and then over the past week, it's jumped up to like 46, 47. So that's a pretty significant increase, honestly. Now, that could just be like some guy decided to spam it, and like he's winning all the time. I don't know. But, I mean, again, I don't think these are the biggest buffs of all time. I mean, what? 10 mana? Like, is that a big deal? I don't know. I mean, Echo Slash is something you're going to be using a lot, so 10 mana can stack up over time. And then this thing, it's like, I don't know, mana cost again, 10 mana. is that a big deal? But again, you kind of want to use this, so it makes sense. Just this hero probably is not as mana starved over time or in, the lane or even later when you're farming and all that kind of stuff. So that can be a pretty significant big deal about like even influencing what items you're buying early. Like, can you just get away with a small mana regen item, or do you have to build a big one? Like, do you have to build Battle Fury, or can you get away with just a Falcon Blade, that kind of stuff? So that can have big changes. It's just, I see that the win rate jumped a bunch, even though these aren't the biggest buffs, and it's not, it's still pretty far away from even 50%. So I still think it needs more buffs, but it definitely deserves number 5 on the list in terms of biggest winners from this patch so far. Then coming in at number 4, we actually have PL, and I would say I'm wrong or was wrong about this in the patch. I looked at this and I said, this is a fine buff, but it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make this hero like good. Now, I guess you could argue that I was kind of still right about that. I don't think the hero's that good, but it definitely had more of an impact of bumping it up than what I originally thought. I think this is an okay Ags was just terrible before. Okay, the original Ags that they had like 6 months, a year ago, before they changed it, was good. It was the only thing that was viable on the hero. Then they took it away and gave us this weird like Phantom Rush Ags that like spawns illusions if you run through people or whatever, and it just doesn't do anything. Like, that's just, it's terrible. Now you're actually spawning more illusions. Like, when you actually see this come to fruition in a game, it's not really that bad. So you probably still go this, because are you going anything else other than Ags? I don't know. It just feels like this hero is all centered around Ags, whatever it does, whether it did it before or now, because just going like Diffusal and Heart and these other things, it's like, that's fine, but it really feels like the hero, unless you're 1v1ing a guy that gets caught out or something and is stupid and is trying to 1v1 face you, you need like 5 items to even like fight in the fights. And then even when you get those items, you're kind of just hoping that people, you're going invis, you're doing weird stuff, you're juking people, you're making people try to chase you down. Like, it's all just deception. It's not like I can just go in, pop some illusions, I'm tanky, I can kill everybody. It's just a weird mind game that you have to play, and that is like exhausting and hard to do, especially late in the game when there's so many items, all this stuff is happening. I do think that maybe the Ags also makes it a little bit more of like, you could go Diffusal into Ags and be more of like a chase down hero where you're just running people down. So more of an active playstyle definitely could help. I think that probably is why we see a pretty decent win rate increase for this hero as well. But again, not a lot of heroes to pick from winners. So I think I'm putting this here just to like call it out as, hey, it is a pretty big winner. I don't think we're seeing it as in the meta. I mean, I probably had it, D tier, maybe C tier, but I think it might bump up a tier from whatever it was in the last patch, because at least it's okay now. I mean, I still think in pubs you can get away with it sometimes if games are going, 50, 60 minutes as we hear my voice crack, but I don't think it's really the best tier. I mean, it's been these Naga, PL, these heroes have been bad for so long. It is what it is. Then number 3, we have Ench, and I was saying when I saw the buffs that I was like, this could be, I mean, it was 1 buff, attack slow increased by 10, but that can be pretty significant. I mean, when I talk about this hero, about whether or not it's good in the tier list or whatever, it's always about, like, can you frontline, can you stand in the front and just be unkillable despite having, like, relatively low HP? Does Untouchable actually work to make it so that you just control the map wherever you are, and then also do insane damage, like scaling into late game with pure damage? Like, can you actually do that? And so giving this 10 attack speed on all levels is pretty significant in that way, like allowing her to do that. That's kind of like the key of whether or not Enchantress is good. So buffing that has a huge impact on the hero, and I think it is pretty good. Another hero that has gotten a significant win rate increase. I think I had it as like again, C or D tier hero as a support. Maybe we'll see that bump up to like a C or B tier hero at most. I still don't think it's great, but it definitely is a winner of the patch where you don't have too many winners. Then coming in at number 2, we have Queen of Pain. And this hero, if you look at the changes, hasn't been changed since 3.9. And even then, it wasn't the biggest change anyway. And this hero's been pretty popular for a while. Both Bondage and Masochist are getting play. And I think because Puck is now worse, which Puck is a pretty big counter to this hero just because you can dodge both spells, Shadow Strike and Scream of Pain. You also, as Puck, can ult the Queen of Pain. She can't blink out. All this kind of stuff. You can dodge the ultimate. I think it's just a very good matchup for Puck overall. Obviously, Queen of Pain can gank, but Puck can too, so I think Puck getting worse makes this hero better. But really the biggest thing is that this hero hasn't been touched or nerfed, despite it being very good in the last couple patches. And so I think it just kind of rises to the top, as now we see this is probably the mid hero, I would say. I mean, if I had to guess, unless there's another patch, obviously, if for the next month or two, this is going to be the #1 mid hero. In pubs, maybe in pros. Pros are always hard to like know because there's so many mind games and weird banning and all this nonsense that happens to really like figure out what is the best hero, and they have a different kind of scale. But for pubs, I definitely think Queen of Pain is like the hero. You could just pick this hero every game and have a lot of success. And like I said before, even in the tier list, you can pick Masochist or Bondage depending on the game, and that's another real big benefit to the hero of having 2 paths to go down depending on the matchups after you pick the hero, and seeing, you know, what matchup you're against mid and then what the heroes are like in general in the game. And then lastly, for the #1 winner from this patch, we have Ursa. And this hero, if you see here, this is B, we're on the C patch. It didn't get changed despite the fact that this hero was basically already the best S tier carry. So they pretty much didn't touch Ursa. I had a couple of people actually comment in the patch video of like, they didn't touch Ursa. That's kind of weird. Like, what are they actually doing? This doesn't make any sense. And I kind of agree. Now, I like Ursa. I play Ursa a lot. It is a very good hero right now. The only problem with Ursa in pubs sometimes is that it's hard to end the game because you don't really have a ton of tower damage. But if you get to the last talent, you can pick the overpower attacks, which is very, very good. Obviously, Earthshock charges can be good too if you're going for like the tanky build where it's just like have your ultimate running all the time. But the 3 overpower attacks can help you definitely take buildings, but it still is the only real weakness of the hero in general. But still, has a great laning stage for a lot of different matchups. Builds Battle Fury and doesn't really get punished at all because you just go right into Blink and do Roche really well. This does all the things that Ursa does super, super well. Does insane damage. You can just honestly 1v9 the game. Just hope that your team doesn't throw going high ground. But because you can do Roche pretty well, obviously that helps. So I just think the fact that Ursa did not get touched and a lot of other heroes got nerfed, like, I don't know, every other good hero got nerfed. This hero just obviously wins the patch. And you can even see that Dota 2 Pro Tracker, the win rates, pick rates, everything like that. This hero's just on the top because it's the hero in pubs and probably even in pros. I think Ursa is one of those weird pro heroes where they don't love picking it all the time, but when people are picking it in pros, which they kind of are, I think, you know it's a pretty good hero. So that is the #1 winner of the patch, and those are the top 5 winners and losers of patch 7.39C. As always, guys, if you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.